about the noise, where legends rise. From the clouds to the crowd, this is Crowd, where Africa meets opportunity, where music meets magic.
Hello, everybody. My name is Adebayo Adegbite, and I welcome you once again to another edition of the Crowd Industry Virtual Seminar. In this seminar series, music professionals of different specializations share with us their ideas of around managing global artists and how you, as a music industry professional, whichever niche you are in, can take your career from local to global. So this is a result or an initiative of the Crowd L&D series, where we upskill music industry professionals to be able to become brands in themselves, and not just brands, but global brands. And so today I have Joy Wonne with me on the Crowd Industry Virtual Seminar Series. Joy Wonne is like one of the youngest, a very young, fast-growing, a young creative professional, legal, well, shall I say luminary, but I should just say legal expert, and is going to be sharing with us um, our perspective on going global, the legal issues around it. So let me just read a bit of her profile. Joy Wonne is the head of business and legal at KeyQuaad. She's also a broadcaster of over 12 years. She combines her legal and media background to offer an encompassing overview and solution-based consultation to creatives. She's passionate about creatives, especially music and dance artists. By the way, KeyQuad, the head of business and legal that Joy Wonne comes from, manages Omale and Melon. So we know that the person we have today on the show is, is a person of no mean repute. So Joy, you're welcome to the show once again. It's nice to have you on the seminar today.
Thank you very much. You were right to just talking about my background as first as a media personality, because I started in media long before the entertainment world came to play. So I was always interested in media space. I've always loved anything around the media space, be it music, be it dance, be it movies, everything around the media space. You would find me there. So I believe after studying law, the next best plan would have been to get into the entertainment space, being that this is where I thrive the most, this is where I enjoy to be in. So yeah, that's how come I find myself in entertainment law. Getting into legal at the head at KeyQuaad, legal head and business manager at KeyQuaad. It was a matter of opportunity and just seizing the bull by the horn. And I'll tell you for a fact, I have had the opportunity to work on a wide range of contracts. We're looking at international contracts, brand endorsements, production agreements. You're looking at shows, live shows, both within and outside the country. We're looking at international collaborations, you name it. We have a star as big as Omale, so of course I have gone through the spectrum of documents and of negotiations as far as the music industry goes. So to a large extent, I would say that I'm hoping that this conversation will be able to bring out some of these things that I've learned along the way, and that I'm able to answer the questions and speak to the points that need to be spoken to, and that everybody, the burning questions in the hearts of our attendees today.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure, and I'm also looking forward to that as well. So interestingly enough, by giving a background, you sort of answered the first question I want to ask, because the question that was actually going on my mind was, how did you go from law to entertainment? Entertainment is also part of law, of course, we know that. But it's just interesting to know your own personal journey. And I'm happy, of course, that you've been able to start with that. And that means you're up to a very good start. And so the question I'm going to be asking next is, so as a lawyer in entertainment, and then as someone that has managed or someone that is involved in the process of managing a big deal, um, like Omale. And then, by the way, this the new song with Davido is actually making waves. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think I,
Thank
yeah,
you.
that was it was beautiful, and it's
Thank
actually
you.
why we love Omale, and it's great.
Yes.
So
Yes. We
so
all do.
congratulations on that. We yeah,
Thank you.
I think it's congratulations are in order if I'm correct. Yeah.
Yes.
Uh,
The
okay.
numbers are falling in. So
I
yes,
mean,
that's
yeah,
good to
it's
know.
big. It's big. It's a really big deal. Okay, so let's get back to what we were talking about. So, what are the most common legal mistakes that emerging artists and their managers make when they are trying to break into global markets from perspective of a legal professional?
Right. Okay, so I think we already spoke about this before now, but I just wanted to mention it on the call. Is the fact that I'm not actively a manager, but I have had the opportunity to work with several managers, and we're talking about from very low capacity. Um, I mean, I mean managers that are working with fast rising artists and coming artists to the top, right? To managers that are working with the A-list artists. So I think I'm going to speak from my experience in the legal space, and also from just calling from their experiences and just seeing what's going on, because a lot of times I'm involved in the threads, I'm involved in the email threads, I'm involved in the WhatsApp conversations. I kind of have an idea of what's going on, because sometimes you need to be pulled in to do one or two paperwork, and you just have to be aware. You have to be, and when you're not aware, you have to be caught up to speed. So in any case, I kind of understand the workings of the manager, and because I'm interested in the media, I do ask a lot of questions and get involved beyond the legal. So I would say that the first mistake I see a lot of managers make, in my experience, is that they do not define the relationship between themselves and the artist, right? You see a lot of people say, I'm a manager, I'm a manager, I'm a manager, but there's no well-defined document stating the role that the manager is playing between themselves and the artist. And that goes a long way in affecting relationships and conversations way into the future. Why? Because there are terms, there's a reason why the contracts are important. There are terms that are necessary that will save hassle, that will save stress. You see a lot of times when artists start up, they are starting out with friends, family, you know, they are not necessarily starting out on a business level, because they are just starting. They are just starting, and they need somebody who actually believes in them and who will push them and who will sing their praises and who will be able to help them run a few errands, do a lot of things, just put the whole thing together. So I think the first mistake that a lot of managers and artists make is they don't properly define their relationships. Sometimes you see managers that they're spending money, they are helping the artists with self-development, they are putting the artists in the studio, paying for studio sessions. Um, and at the end of the day, there's a trouble, because somebody is saying, "Oh, I paid for this, I did that." There's no there's no clear cut definition of what the relationship is. If money is involved, if people are putting down funds, how are they getting paid back? All of these things, and then so at some point the artist gets the hit record, it blows up, and then everything is a mess. And you see people come online and call out this person, call out that person, and we feel like, oh, this person is now proud because he's getting recognition. But majority of the time, it's a matter of the paperwork. The paperwork is not properly defining the relationship between both of them. So when a song, for instance, gets big, and you're in the international market and you see labels are coming for you, at that point it becomes a problem, because how what are you presenting to the label, or what are you presenting to the agents with these shows? What are you presenting to them? Is this person your manager? Is this person an independent label? Are they running a distro? The manager is the one who's distributing the music, the manager is the one who's doing this, who's doing that. There are no clear cut definitions, and that's what I'll keep coming back to. So let's paint a scenario. There's a song that has dropped from some artist who at this point has probably just 5,000 fans, right? But it's picking up on TikTok, it's going global. Some people are interested and they come in, they start asking questions. They're talking to the manager, they're talking to the artist. Now the artist needs to understand, or the manager needs to understand the kinds of deals that are being presented, the kinds of conversations that he should be getting into, and what he's able to give, right? The manager is not the one who's making the decision as regards um, if it's going to be a master's conversation, if a master's is going, if it's a license, if it's a partnership, if it's a collaboration. You know, he's not the one making those decisions at the end of the day because the artist is not signed to him. But you find that sometimes because the managers don't know the they don't know the limits of their position, they don't know the limits of their work and responsibility, they may go ahead and start making such decisions on behalf of the artist, which creates a problem as well. So I think first and foremost is the fact that artists, managers, they need to properly define their relationship on paperwork and they need to have a neutral party involved. It's not something that, you know, yes, I understand sometimes to save cost and everything, each party wants to. So you can have either the artist or the manager draft up something, but you find that because you don't know the wordings of what is on paper, it could create issues in the future. So yes, there could even be paperwork. You understand? There might be paperwork, but who drafted that paperwork? Does the person know what each clause in that paperwork contains and what it entails and what it means? What are the limitations? What are the guarantees? What are the representations? Who's doing what? What are the rules? What are the limits to each person's? So these are things that a lawyer would know, an entertainment lawyer especially. You don't want a situation where a manager is drafting the contract, the artist is signing, and if neither of them understands what is in that paper, it's as good as not having it, or better still, it makes it even more difficult. I mean, I would prefer a situation where there's no paperwork to where there's paperwork that is clearly just random. Someone just going online and picking up some things and putting on paper that doesn't represent the wishes of both parties, right? So at the end of the day, it's paperwork that defines the relationship properly so that when you're presenting or when you're in a conversation with major labels or brands, there's a well-defined document. And a lot of times if that paperwork is not there, it's possible for the label to come in and the manager just, is sidelined, which is another reason why the manager has to insist on paperwork because once the artist gets bigger, it could be said that you will not be able to handle him. Maybe you haven't handled any international star before, and the major is looking at somebody who can actually maintain communication and who is already in the business of the international scene. And before you know it, the artist is looking for somebody who's a bigger name in the industry to replace you, and then that's a problem. So these are issues that come up when there's no paperwork defining the relationship. So I think that's one of the major issues that managers and artists have to, or mistake that they have to avoid.
Okay, thank you very much. That was a very great insight from you there. So, in other words, if not just as a manager, as a music industry professional, you must define your value. You must talk about, okay, so this is what I do as a manager. And then, so when you are dealing with an artist, you must be able to define your relationships. And I think that's actually crucial in not just managers, any kind of professionals, even lawyers, even so you must define your value and say, this is what I bring to the table, this is what I can offer based on my capacity, and this is what I expect based on my skills, my training, and of course, all my interest in the art. So again, thank you very much for that. And then without much ado, I'll move to the next question. So you are working with a big artist like Omale, and then we're also hoping that K-Style and Melon, of course, also become international figures as well. So, working with an artist like Omale, for example, what was the first thing when you first started negotiating international deals. What was the thing that struck you about what is different between the way we do things in Nigeria and the way they do things in, say, developed nations like US or Canada?
Okay. I think um, not to be superficial, but the money, the cash involved, the the offers were in good numbers, right? That's first. And I'm not just going to dwell on the actual figures. I'd say that to a large extent, it's a definition of the value that's placed on artists, right? A lot of times, those offers come and what is being put on the table tells you the way the brand is being viewed and how it's respected and how people want to associate with it, and they're willing to pay good money to associate with it. So I'll tell you for a fact, of course, that was coming in and looking at these deals. It was some of the biggest numbers that I had seen up to that point. So of course that was I got taken aback, but
Yeah, sure.
it was to be expected. Of course, it was to be expected. It was we're talking about global brand. So I think the next something else that I'd say was pretty um, um, well, not a surprise per se, but yes, in the entertainment space, a bit of a surprise was the fact that it was quite lengthy. It covered a lot. It covered a lot of clauses and eventualities, and there was a lot of professionalism behind it. I'm not saying that over here we're not professionals or we do not have lengthy paperwork. I'm just speaking to the fact that this was the standard, right? I had worked with others or other, you know, people, brands who are just about, oh, let it be simple. They just want simple contracts. They just want it to be simple. Just state the basic terms. Okay, who's paying what, blah, blah, and they just want a one pager or a two pager, and that's not what contracts should look like, even in the entertainment space, especially when you're dealing with copyrights and you're dealing with intellectual property. You need to clearly define who owns what, because this is something that lasts forever. It's like landed property. It's like you telling me to make a one pager for a landed property. This is property as well. So you need to define even to the next generation. You need to talk about the people that are coming even after the artist is no more. You need to talk about whether or not these rights can move to somebody else. All of these parts of the document have to be inclusive. And I see that a lot of, sometimes, not a lot of time, but sometimes I see artists prefer to work, or managers prefer to work with, light documents. They don't want lengthy documents because maybe they don't want to engage a lawyer, or they just want something that's straight to the point. They are not thinking like the lawyer. They're not thinking like the the businessmen, who are looking out for eventualities, who are looking out for situations where if this happens and that happens, this is what we would agree to. So those provisions have to be made for, which makes the document lengthy and understandable. It's understandably lengthy because it has to cover for a variety of situations and cover for the possibilities that may arise as much as possible. You can't obviously do everything. You can't predict what will happen in the future, but there are things that experience has taught us in the industry as we go. And so the templates and the documents keep changing over time, and it's just right that it's up to date as we go. So it's not for the manager or artist to decide how short or how lengthy a document should be. Um, so yeah, I think that was one of the big shockers, the fact that it was normal in the industry for it to be 30 pages long, 40 pages long, and everybody's fine with it. And it's just what it is. Deal with it. It's your job as the lawyer to deal with it and work with it. So yeah, I think that was those were the two major shockers for me.
Oh, okay. Again, thank you very much. The professionalism thing is actually something worth of note because in Africa, we are so informal. There's so much, friend,
Mhm.
family kind of thing around the arrangement.
True.
And, I've picked up something here, and perhaps it's also something that we also do our crowd to make sure that, because one thing that our international partners complain about is that, our professionals in Africa are not professional enough. Even though they know the craft, they have the skills, but they don't really understand that, just as you said, the eventualities can happen. And that is part of why we are putting a seminar like this together, bringing people like you on to come inform people that when you are dealing with an international brand as a global person, you must be ready for the contracts. You must be ready for the 40, 50
Mhm.
pages because, professionalism is the soul of the game. Africa cannot afford to
Oh,
just play there anymore. Okay, yeah, go on. I get you.
one more thing. One more thing is the fact that I got comfortable with the back and forth. I think that's another thing that is that I wasn't very confident with. The back and forth. There are lots of back and forths that you have to be comfortable with. So you and also contracts could take some time to be finalized, and that's okay. Just make sure that both teams or both sides are okay or act as much as possible. You on the one hand are okay with the contract. You don't have to be worried. You do have to respond timely, but as much as possible, don't be pressured to complete, you know, reviewing or the review of a particular that you have the fine points well detailed and well put together so that you're not regretting later on that you did anything in a hurry. So it's fine. Sometimes contracts take a while and that's okay. That's another thing that I understood. So the back and forths are to be expected. You could do calls, you could do meetings, you could do markups and all of that, and that's fine. That's to be expected actually.
Okay, so again, thank you very much for that. It's it's a it's a great bit of insight coming from you around artists. So the next question is going to be around. So an artist has come to you, seeing perhaps the success of Omale, and and say, okay, they want to blow, or maybe not just even an artist, because it's not just about artists. KeyQuaad already also manages some music professionals. So what would be your perhaps your advice in terms of professionalism? I think even beyond the signing of contracts and what goes. So what would be your advice to African music industry professionals around professionalism, not just perhaps in terms of signing contracts, in terms of understanding their value? So what would your advice be on professionalism?
Okay, so I'm going to go with this question from the point of view of, from the point of view that I'm speaking to managers and artists, even though these principles can be applicable to every industry professional, I would say to a large extent, in fact, the most important thing is knowing what you should know, right? And being teachable and willing to learn what you are expected to know. Nobody is a fountain. No, nobody knows everything. Or no one person is like the pinnacle of knowledge, right? So it's expected that you learn on the go and continuously improve. So this goes for everyone. The artist on his own has to continuously develop himself in whatever manner that is required and it's expected of him and is necessary. Same goes for the manager, right? Being an artist manager, you have to continuously improve yourself. You have to continuously find, I mean, there's technology now that is like, technology is improving every single day. What are the new trends? What are the new things that artists are using, the new ways artists are using to introduce themselves to um, new fans? I'm not even talking about blowing now because when the focus is on blowing, the whole point is missed. I think the focus should be on improving self-development for the artists. Who are your new fans? How's the best way to reach new audiences? How the best ways to plug into new shows, get new contacts, network. These are the things you're supposed to be paying attention to as an artist or an artist manager, other professionals as well. what are the make the most recent things happening in your industry. For the legal space, it's the AI, right? AI is coming to take over, a lot of copyright issues around AI usage and all of that. So every industry has a part of it that is improving continuously, and you have to keep up. Because if you don't keep up, other people will come and, you know, you might be the next best thing in your industry at this time, but what is going to make you stay for a long time? It's the knowledge you have. So you have to continuously improve on that knowledge. Now, in terms of positioning yourself as a brand as a brand, you have to know what it is you're after in the industry. There are different parts of the industry, there are different services. Where are you fitting in? What part of the industry are you offering solutions for, and how do you intend to do that? And how long do you want your impact to be made and felt? These are the things that will guide your brand and guide you in building. Sometimes it may take you a few years, to build something to a point where you feel, okay, yes, I can now launch out, I can now come into I can tell people about what I do, I can now begin to speak, I can now begin to share knowledge because you do have something to share. You can't be in the public space and not have something to say. You must have something to say. And in order to have something to say, you must have some experience and you must have some knowledge. So it's either you're getting knowledge from other people's experiences or you're having some experiences yourself, which you are building knowledge from. So at every single point in time, you should be looking for opportunities to improve your knowledge. You should be looking for opportunities to share that knowledge. Now, you will not be known, and especially in this our industry. I mean, it's fine if you don't like to be in front of a camera. It's fine if you don't like to speak. It's fine if you don't like to engage. But these things are necessary to a large extent in positioning you with international bodies, with organizations, and with social credit, because social credit is very important in this work that you do. And depending on the role you play, you may require a whole lot of social credit. So it works in a way that, if the service you offer requires that you prove to people that, oh, I have done this, I have done this, I have done this, you've built a profile, you have to show that you have the capacity to do this job, right? I mean, I think it's applicable to all services. Even the artist has to prove that he can sing because he has to keep, releasing music. So same with the manager. If the artist or the creative or the talent you're managing we're not seeing significant progress. I mean, very rarely would you see somebody approaching you to say, "Oh, I want you to manage me," or anything like that. So it's more than likely that you would have to build social credit and be vocal about what you're building and who you're working with, the solutions you're giving, and the things you're getting into. So as much as you're getting knowledge, you also should be able to share that knowledge and find the means to share the knowledge. Also, I think that sometimes it's just important that you network. Sometimes it's just the network that gets you the most interesting results, the most wonderful results. Just knowing people and being, somebody that is approachable, being someone that approaches people, being somebody that is, a name that resonates in the industry. Now, how do I mean? A lot of times people get jobs, gigs, as we call them, by reference. It happens with producers, it happens with managers, it happens with lawyers, it happens with every aspect of the industry. Reference is very important. So you have to build your network. It's not enough that you're this person or you're that person. Who are the people you know and who are the people that know your name? Is it called in places when people are talking, are speaking? And that's something that I'm not, I can't call myself an A for, but it's something I'm working towards, which everybody should work towards. So you have to build the knowledge, you have to build the experience, and you also have to build the social credit, you have to build a network, right? You have to be go around, be in the industry, understand what's happening, and try as much as possible to be visible. So yeah, I think for me that these are the ways that you can actually position yourself in the industry.
Okay, thank you very much again. Very beautiful piece of insight. And in fact, you sort of answered the question I wanted to ask next around how you must build yourself as a music industry professional. Again, how an artist or how a music industry professional can actually blow, to use that expression. I'm sure it's not just about blowing for illegal people, but then I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, very great insight from you. We are entering the home stretch now, so I just have the one last question before we have a day, because I mean we could continue doing this for 3 4 hours. I mean I'm having loads of fun and I'm learning plenty of things.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Me too.
just the final question, because I know that there will be an episode 2 at some point. This set of insights you are delivering cannot just go in one episode and then that will be it.
All
But
right.
let me just ask the final question before we go. And now, you did mention something around algorithms, streaming platforms, social media, in particular, what we call the elephant in the room, AI.
Yeah.
So now, so I'm going to maybe push back, or maybe divert back a bit to your legal perspective. So AI, social media, streaming platforms, how do these things affect monetization issues and issues around copyright in the African music industry? Because as you know, we're a bit late to the AI fad. I mean, we are catching up, no doubt, but we are still a bit late to the AI fad. So what are the legal issues you see around these things, these new fads, if I may use that expression? And how do you think, or what do you think the future of the legal part of the creative industry will be around these issues?
That's a very interesting question because I work with a few um, music aggregators who distribute music, and I see the kind of struggles they experience, especially around copyrights and the new rules around copyright and around YouTube, content ID usage. Basically, I think a lot is changing, and just like I said earlier, it's very important that individuals in the industry and professionals in the industry catch up with the changes. Um, so DSPs are making a lot of changes on a daily basis to meet with the demands of the industry and the demands of laws that are being, enacted as time goes on, right? So we we have the responsibility to catch up, to be aware. Just I think that was in 2022 that the Copyright Act was also enacted in Nigeria, right? So it means that if a country like Nigeria is trying to meet up with the demands, it only means that even internationally it would be more fast paced. It's moving really quickly because we know these places are not, they don't play around, they don't play with copyright um and intellectual property generally. And so Nigeria is catching up, thankfully. So I would say just recently, the issue of content ID, issues of people putting out songs on social media and having their songs tagged. All of these things have become really, really tasking for distributors even. And now the DSPs they are beginning to find distributors who distribute songs that have queries, that have copyright flags, and all of that. And then, the distributors in turn are passing it on to the copyright holders. So what this means is for the artists and for the artist managers, your songs it's a bit stricter now to use uncleared samples, and that's not to say that it wasn't strict before. It's just that it's more stringent now. Everybody is aware, right? And then there are AI tools that are used to identify some of these things that might have slipped in the past. So everything is a little bit more strict now. So you have to be aware as well. When you get into the studio to record, what are the samples you're using? What are the loops you're using as a producer? Are these loops cleared? Are they licensed? Do they have unlimited license? Do they have exclusive license? Very important, because some some distributors will not even allow you to put songs that have or content that have, you know, unexclusive copyright license on their platform because they don't want to be flagged. So these things are happening now and it's getting more strict and everyone is being careful. So when you go into the studio to produce or to record a song, make sure that the producer is working on an original beat. Make sure that if he's using any samples or it's using any loops, these things are cleared properly. Make sure that as much as possible you're paying for exclusive rights. Because what happens with content thing is if they are not exclusive and somebody is using a sound on Facebook or Instagram, then there's another party that's used that same sound, there's a conflict. And then, you know, it's flagged for copyright issues, your song is brought down and you're losing money, you're losing time. And all the things that you have, all the marketing plans are stopped or, you know, halted and, you know, you have a haphazard marketing rollout because of one tiny loop that you could have cleared or that you could have had you know, an original for. So all of these things are things that you have to look out for. Content ID is a huge deal on YouTube. You may want to go ahead and check out the YouTube monetization policies. There are lots of policies, Facebook policies, TikTok policies, IG policies, Meta policies, basically, and YouTube policies. All of these policies are very, very effective. They're in play. And if you don't know it, then you could find an expert that will work on it. So yeah, I feel like because of the rise of technology, we need to match up with whatever is happening, and we need to be aware. We need to know the loopholes and things to avoid so that at the end of the day, you don't release a beautiful song, but you're not able to market it for one reason or another. That's where it's very painful because if a song is already gaining traction, it's even much more easy for it to be flagged. One. Secondly, is if you're getting a deal, a major deal, and your paperwork is not well sorted, it's a problem. You cannot get a major deal. You don't have paperwork all sorted. So all of these things, the sample clearances, whatever third party copyright you're using, make sure that it's properly cleared, make sure everyone is getting what they're supposed to get so you're not getting flagged long term. I don't know if you have any other questions, but I also wanted to go back to the initial question you mentioned. The first question actually around mistakes, I think, mistakes that managers and artists make on when dealing with the global scene. I think I mentioned the definition, defining their roles, you know, defining the role of the manager and the limits of the manager and all of that. Also, you need legal representation when you're dealing with an international brand in terms of negotiation and just generally having these conversations. You need legal representation. They will take you more seriously if you have one. I'm speaking from experience. Also, like I mentioned with the copyright issues, you need to clear everything that you're doing. If you're putting out a song, you need to clear it. Clear with the producer, clear the artwork, clear as much as clearable. Clear everything clearable because when the brands or when the majors come to take that song or to work with you, they need to know that your paperwork is intact. If your paperwork is not intact, they will not touch that song because they know that once they get involved with uncleared songs or uncleared content, there's a tendency they will have to pay more, you know. So no label wants to touch a song that is not cleared. That's the first thing. Make sure the producer is cleared, the, the royalties, the publishing, everything is well sorted, just so that they have apologies. I went off for a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, go on,
Yes.
go on.
Okay, right. So that's another thing I wanted to mention in terms of mistakes that brand that managers and artists make is if you're not a label, if you're not signed to a label, because we have like levels to this record labels. There are some independent labels that get signed to major labels. So assuming it's just you and your manager and you have some traction, you're getting some conversations. Make sure that you're also registering with the right organizations, right? In terms of your royalties, sound exchange, in terms of publishing, your PRO and the publisher. Make sure that you're registering the artist as a manager to the right agency and that your back end is clean, right? One of the first things I like to say, and I think I should have looked at my notes before we moved on to question two. I think one of the huge things that artists don't realize and their managers is taking care of the back end. I like to talk about it a lot because I see the mistake a lot. Taking care of the back end. How can you, as an artist, looking to get global relevance, you have multiple profiles on Spotify, multiple profiles on Apple Music, multiple profiles on social media. So we don't know which one belongs to you. And all of your efforts are scattered. It's not concentrated because you don't have a well put together back end. The back end consists of the DSPs, all the DSPs you have access to as an artist, consists of your social media, all your social media branding and all of that. You have to put all of this together and properly because when labels, when your song or when you are getting traction, these are the things labels are going to be looking out for. You have to have these things put together. Otherwise, no label will be wanting to touch you. Because I'll tell you a secret. A lot of the labels right now that are funding music, they don't want to be hassled with the business of managing the artist. They want you to come with your own management team or your own manager. They want you to have something going for yourself. So if you have like a content strategy, rollout plan, all of that, they want you to have something going. So for you to be able to position yourself in the global scene, you have to have that sorted. Your back end, your profiles, all of these things have to be on point so that when they come in, they're bringing the funding, they're bringing the contacts, yes, but you're able to sort yourself out in terms of day-to-day activities, day-to-day runnings. You're going for a live show, you're capturing it, you have something going that makes the money they're bringing in to multiply, right? So if there's nothing that's going, there's nothing to multiply. It's not just about the music. That's where a lot of artists are getting from. It's not just about the song and how big it is. It's also about who is behind you and how you're putting yourself together and how you're packaging whatever it is you're selling.
Okay, so thank you very much. I mean, it's been a pleasant time. It's been a very great time with
Same
Joy Wonne.
here.
Yeah, it's been a pleasant time with Joy Wonne on the seminar series today. I mean, she's shared plenty of her insights on the nature of the African music industry. But the insights that she has shared have been around professionalism. They have been around making sure that everything that you need to progress is set up. And once again, thank you very much, Joy Wone, for coming for the seminar series today.
Mhm. You're welcome.
Okay, so
Have
it's
a
been a
great
very
time.
pleasure having you around. And there you have it. There you have it. It's Joy Wone that I've been speaking with. Once again, my name is Adebayo Adegbite from Crowd, and I've been speaking with Joy Wone, who is a legal expert and who has been delivering great insights on how you can brand yourself from local to global. And the things she has touched on, professionalism, being part of a network, learning, gaining more knowledge, upskilling are part of the things that we offer at Crowd. At Crowd, we provide you with a profile that you can build, that you can profile yourself so that national brands can see you. So we provide you with a network of fellow music industry professionals that allows you to be able to own your craft properly. And what is more than those is that we provide upskilling opportunities like these seminars where professionals come to tell you about how they did it. So once again, I want to appreciate you for listening. I want to appreciate you for staying with us for the past 40 or so minutes. We appreciate all our viewers and for everyone who bothers to or who goes online to check out our videos. And so until next time, when I bring another music industry professional on the virtual seminar series today, again, I say thank you very much My name is Adebayo Adegbite. Keep learning, keep professionalizing yourself, keep putting yourself out there, keep joining creative industry networks. But most importantly, follow us on crowd www.crowd.com or follow us on social media at Crowd Africa on Instagram, Facebook, X, and LinkedIn. So take care of yourself. See you, and I wish you a pleasant building music career.